Welcome to the Road to Superman, where every video will be a new installment leading up to the new Superman movie as we revisit the classics and show how to build them in LEGO minifigure form. Well, our Superman celebration has brought us right here to Zack Snyder's Justice League. This was crazy to watch when it dropped back in the day, and of course in this video it's going to be so fun to revisit all of these characters and designs to remake them for today's video. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I've got a cover of the song Kryptonite coming out soon that goes with a LEGO stop-motion animation that'll be right here on the channel. Be sure to check that out on Friday, July 11th, right in time for the Superman movie, and let me know what you guys think of it when you check it out. Be sure to come back, and I'll see you guys on that video soon. So we'll kick things off with Bruce Wayne, and something interesting about this showcase is we have barely gotten any new DC minifigs outside of Batman since I did the first showcase for this movie 4 years ago, but even to that point, there have been some non-DC figures and parts that we can add in to make these figures even better, and I'm excited about that. So here, for Bruce Wayne, I actually kept the same design. The torso and legs come from James Potter from the LEGO Harry Potter CMF series. The head is from Star-Lord or Bucky Barnes from like 2014 to 2016 era, and the hair with the gray on the sides is from Doctor Strange from Infinity War. Steppenwolf is a good example of what I was talking about before. Some minor new pieces since last time that just help dial things in a little bit better. The legs and torso are from the Cyberman from Doctor Who, but of course we have to flip that torso around and then it looks perfect. The shoulder armor comes from Ninjago. The helmet piece, I think it comes from like Aqua Raiders or something like that, but as you can see, I did break the purist method to shave off the sides, so, you know, that does break the purist method. If you don't want to break the purist method, honestly, just using Gore the God Butcher's head from Thor Love and Thunder works pretty well, but having the horns definitely is the best way to get it with official LEGO pieces, albeit with some minor alterations. The Wonder Woman minifigure was literally perfect back in the day, so I made no upgrades here. This is the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman. The only thing I added was the Lasso of Truth, which LEGO hasn't put in sets for years, but she does use the lasso quite a bit in this movie, so it's definitely a cool piece to add. Of course, the shield isn't a bad piece either, but to show you just how detailed it is without that shield, man, it is an amazing figure, so no upgrades need to be made. So here we have Cyborg, aka Victor, and this was really awesome to make. Of course, the gray hood is come in lots of places, like from Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, but that's definitely essential. The gray hands and gray legs kind of help play into the Cyborg color scheme. Then this torso, I think, comes from the CMF series or maybe Lego City. I'm sure somebody in the comments can let us know, but it's literally perfect because it kind of looks like he's got a football jersey on underneath, and the head is from the CMF version of Cyborg, which actually has the Cyborg part printed on the head, not just a piece that goes over top, as we'll see with the official Cyborg minifig a little later, but this is literally perfect for Victor. So here we have Batman in his regular outfit, and this is something that I discussed in my previous showcase for Batman vs. Superman, where there are kind of two options. There's the option that's on the stand right now, which of course has the leg printing, but the legs are not dual molded, or there's the version that doesn't have leg printing, but they are dual molded, so Batman has the black boots. Honestly, I go back and forth with which version I like better, but since I used the black version for BVS, I figured for Justice League, let's use the print version, but let me know which one you guys prefer in the comments. Now here we have Green Lantern from the flashback scene, and this was really cool to make. Of course, the torso and legs come from the Apocalypseburg version of Green Lantern, and I swapped out the head for Bosk to match what we see in the film. I did keep the cape from Green Lantern on there, of course, and I added one arm that matches Bosk's head. The reason I didn't swap out this arm is when I went to try and take it off, it felt really tight, like it was almost gonna break off, and you guys know I'm obviously pretty brave when it comes to customizing my figures and ripping parts off, but I've never felt a part that feels like it was gonna break more than trying to take that arm off, and I don't want to try to break this very expensive minifig just for the sake of the video, so you'll have to use your imagination, and hey, maybe your figure isn't as, you know, like close to breaking as mine is, but anyways, just wanted to explain that. So here we have Barry Allen, and I thought that this would be fun to make since we get that great scene in the pet store with him, and to build this, I actually used the head from Credence Barebone, since Ezra Miller also played that character, and you know, I like to try and use characters' likenesses when I can. I just used some regular black hair and the torso and legs from the Twilight Cullen House set to get the look together. Now we have Cyborg, and we actually did get an official Cyborg back in the day in the Justice League sets, and he had this really cool arm that was only ever used on this figure. Now, on that figure, it actually had like a stud shooter gun that would attach, but it looks a little bit too, like, toy-like to me, which I get is funny talking about Lego, but you know what I mean. It just doesn't look as serious as just regular minifigures, so I just popped a red stud on there to represent his cannon arm, but other than that, no changes are made to Cyborg. This minifig is perfect and super expensive today, considering how awesome and detailed he is, and the fact that he only ever came in the largest set from Justice League back in the day. Alright, now we'll head under the sea to Atlantis and go ahead and make the Atlantean Soldier and Mera. Definitely nothing controversial that could be said about Mera, right? But anyways, for Mera, I used the official minifigure from head to toe. The only thing I changed out is this longer hair that isn't like that vibrant red color. I think this matches how she looks in the movie a little better. And for the Atlantean Soldier, I actually didn't make any changes there either, because look at this awesome dude. You got toe printing, leg printing, hip printing, torso, and a unique helmet. I don't know what you could change that would make it better, so I'm gonna leave it as is. Okay, this is Aquaman, and I'm using the official Justice League version because I really don't know that any changes can or should be made. This was a really great figure. I think it captured Jason Momoa's likeness perfectly, and, well, if you can't upgrade it, why bother? It's literally perfect. Alright, for Commissioner Gordon, this one was a lot of fun to put together. I used dark khaki legs with the torso from Commissioner Gordon from around the 2018-2019 era of DC. Then the head actually comes from Alfred from the 1966 Batcave, and I gave him Indiana Jones fedora to complete the look. Up next is the Flash, and just like Aquaman and to some extent even Cyborg, the Flash minifigure we got from the Justice League sets was literally perfect, so I don't really know that any upgrades can be made. This figure was so awesome back in the day, and I'm so glad I got it back then. For Alfred, I kept things simple. The hair comes from Commissioner Gordon from the Lego Batman movie. The face comes from Chris Hemsworth's character from the 2016 Ghostbusters, and the torso and legs come from Ross from the Lego Friends Central Perk set. Throughout the movie, we see lots of parademons, and kind of embarrassingly, I don't know what happened to all my parademons. I only have 2 green ones, but there were definitely yellow ones from back in the day, so yeah, I don't know what happened, but this is the parademon here, and they came in pretty much every Justice League set. Maybe not the Aquaman one, but I think they came in all the other ones. Actually, no, I think they were in the Aquaman one. This is what I get when I pull a bunch of all-nighters back-to-back making content. So here we have the scene where Superman comes back to life, and Lois Lane is right there. So for Lois, I used the torso and legs from Tina Goldstein from Fantastic Beasts, with the head and hair from Lois Lane from Justice League. But that being said, or no, I think it was from Batman vs. Superman, excuse me. That being said, the head and hair also come from Claire Dearing from Jurassic World. For Superman, I used the angry red eyes variant of Superman with the classic hair, then the shirtless torso from Beach Batman from the Lego Batman CMF, and black legs. Superman wears his black suit in this movie, and there is a black suit Lego Superman. It was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive back in 2013, and there were only about 350 made in total, and I actually own one of them. As of this video, this figure is worth in the $5,000 to $7,000 range. Yes, you heard me right. So I do understand that very, very few people on planet Earth are ever going to be able to complete the showcase with an actual black suit Superman. So of course, I want to give you guys an alternative of what you can use, and that of course would be the General Zod torso from Man of Steel. Is it perfect? No, but is it close enough? And will it save you $5,000 to $7,000? It sure will. So my next best recommendation, of course, would be to use that torso, and you could even swap it out for like a different Superman head and hair combo, so you could make it however you want. But yeah, that black suit Superman, the official one, I am so grateful to own it, and very grateful to be able to include it in this showcase. So here we have the Armored Batman, not to be confused with the BVS Armored Batman. This is just the Batfleck version with some extra printing for his tactical look. This of course came in the Justice League sets back in the day. I also love when we lift the helmet up that he has the silver eye band, so that when you put the cowl on he actually has silver eyes. Makes for a really cool minifig, and no additional upgrades are needed because it's so perfect. Here we have Darkseid. Unironically, the head from Newt Gunray from Star Wars actually works really well for this, and using the black comma skirt piece from the Clone Wars from back in the day actually works really well to add a little bit of, I don't know, like bulkiness, I might say, to Darkseid. Of course, he's got matching light bluish gray arms with black hands, this torso from one of the villains from Hidden Side, and dual molded legs, so you get a little bit of gray there with the black boots to finish the look. Of course, as we near the end, we've got Lex Luthor and Deathstroke. Now, I actually made Deathstroke in my Batman vs. Superman showcase, because for some reason I forgot he showed up in Justice League, not BVS, but anyways, I'll remake him here. The legs I used are actually from the GCPD version of Barbara Gordon from the Lego Batman movie, with black arms and the flipped around torso and head from Deathstroke. For Mr. Lex Luthor over here, I used the torso from Simon Masrani from Jurassic World and swapped the hands out to match this head from one of the Weasley twins from Harry Potter. And finally, at the end of the film, we see Martian Manhunter. Now, the Martian Manhunter from the 2012 GWP minifigure exclusive that LEGO gave out is pretty much perfect in my opinion. I'm not really sure what I would upgrade or change from that, so we'll go ahead and use the original LEGO Martian Manhunter. And finally, that brings us to the Nightmare sequence, and man oh man, I love the way these customs turned out. I think that this alone was probably worth the weight of the entire showcase, but we'll go from left to right and build them all. For Cyborg, I used the Justice League Cyborg torso and legs with that slight change to the arm we mentioned before. The head is from CMF Cyborg with a brown cape and a brown hood. Moving over one, we have Deathstroke, and unfortunately there are not a lot of LEGO options that have eye patches, especially ones with eye patches and a goatee, so I decided to split the difference and go with the head that was used on Kraven the Hunter, as well as one of the LexCorp, like, bad guy henchmen back in the day, because that has the goatee. If you wanted to use a Sharpie and make the eye patch, you could, but I'm just going to leave it as is. And the spiky Mohawk-style hair comes from Quaritch from LEGO Avatar. Now, for Nightmare Batman, believe it or not, this is actually an official LEGO minifigure. This came out in the Nightmare accessory pack that was put out at the LEGO store, probably in 2018 or 2019. It's pretty rare these days, and for good reason. You've got dual molded legs with printing on the front, hip printing, an amazing torso print, arm printing on both arms, that exclusive Joker card, and the head and the exclusive Batman cowl, making it very, very desirable and awesome. For Superman, I used the Batman vs. Superman figure for, you know, the torso, legs, cape, and all that, but the head actually comes from the CMF version of Superman, so you get those sunken in red eyes that look perfect for evil, corrupted Superman. The Joker, I think, turned out the best of anybody here. The legs come from Alice in Wonderland, so you get white with the black shoes. The torso is just a white torso with yellow hands for his gloves. Then, we don't really have an official SWAT torso, like, cover vest piece. For obvious reasons, LEGO wouldn't make something that hyper-realistic, but the GCPD torso cover from the Lego Batman movie actually honestly works better, since it's kind of an in-universe reference to Batman. Then the head comes from the Heath Ledger Joker from the more recent iterations of The Dark Knight, with some green hair from classic LEGO from probably the mid to late 90s or maybe even early 2000s. For the Flash, it's kind of amazing how well the Praetorian Guard from Star Wars The Last Jedi works. The only thing I swapped out were dark red arms just to make some slight variation. And then for Mera, I actually used the exact same design from earlier in this showcase. The only thing I added was Aquaman's trident. And there we go, we have the Nightmare sequence, and with that, we've covered all the ground we need to from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Alright guys, well, let me know what you thought of this showcase. Be sure to hit like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.